Hello people. So first of all, I'll start off, I'm Jackie. I'm 40 years old and I am wanting to talk about perimenopause and my experience with perimenopause, my experience of that I'm younger. It has had an effect on how supported I feel, whether I feel alone with it, whether doctors would even listen. So for me, it seems to have started about 18 months ago. I didn't start off with hot flashes. That can be a really common first sign. Wasn't for me. My first obvious sign was really bad PMS. And now looking back, I can see that over the last year and a half, I went from just being really functional, able to think properly, lots of energy, always been really resilient with life stuff, to just my anxiety levels went through the roof, crying a lot more than normal for no reason, or if there was reason, excessively more than I probably needed to. My energy levels, that's been one of the biggest things. Just my energy level, just exhausted all the time. To do the basics has just taken it out of me. The mood swings, the irritability, the weight around the middle, which has changed my body shape, and because of the exhaustion, I've probably had the least physical activity in the last 18 months that I've had in my life. It's been really low, so my whole body, including that middle part, my whole body has really changed a lot, which in turn has been a part of self-esteem stuff based around my body, as well as just because I've been feeling so extreme in my emotions, just feeling really shit about myself as a person. And feeling, because I felt so crap about me, just my general self-worth has been at an all-time low, and I have said and written in my journal a number of times over the last 18 months, the lack of worth has just been absolutely crippling in this time. Not constantly, but just like I've never felt, not since I was a teenager did I feel that like that, and it's been really hard. So I first off went to a doctor that I'd seen a couple of times and said to him what was going on. He pretty much just said, "You're too young." And I insisted that I get some blood tests done, which came back that everything was okay, so from the research I've done, this is really common because the hormone levels fluctuate over the months, so you may or may not get a reading come up. A number of months later, I went to another doctor, a female doctor this time. I was literally in there a few minutes and she just told me I was too young to even consider that. The only thing she said to me was that an option that I had was to go on antidepressants for 2 weeks out of every month, which is, it's not an option for me. I'm just not willing to do that. It's not dealing with anything from what was needing to be dealt with. I understand, I'm not saying people shouldn't use antidepressants. I just don't think it's as necessary as is pushed in society these days. I think if we dealt with some of our issues in a more holistic approach, I don't think we would need as many as we do. So this, I left it for another however long. It was still just really bad. I ended up going to a female doctor that I had been to her about some other stuff and I really liked her. And she was amazing. She didn't discredit the fact that just because I'm younger doesn't mean it's not a possibility. So she didn't make me feel like an idiot for even considering it, that it can be an option. And also, I'm someone who's always been really in tune with my body, and I found the attitude's just really demeaning, and I was just so frustrated and angry because they just brushed it aside, and the male doctor had basically just been like, well, it's PMS, deal with it. So when I saw this other woman, she was just fantastic, and she was like, right, we're going to get the blood test, and a pelvic scan and an ultrasound just to rule everything out, tick the boxes. And everything was fine, but on the blood test it did come up this time that the follicle, FHS, I can't remember what it stands for, follicle something level, they showed that yes, I was in this period of perimenopause. And not only that, but I tick pretty much every single box besides vaginal dryness and the hot flushes, which I do get in minor ways, but not the way some people clearly do, which is the first thing that everybody asked me if I was getting them, and that was just like, well, she hasn't got that though, therefore she's not going through it. So that was really good, because like I said, I know my body, and I've always known my body really well. I know when I'm ovulating, and just by all the signs that we as women, if we take note of, we can get to know when we're premenstrual, when we're going to get a period, things like that. So she had said to me that exercise and changing my diet, because part of all this, I also got extreme sugar cravings like I have never experienced. I was never even a sweet tooth before, and I have just been just absolutely fiending for chocolate and Ollies and stuff for the last year and a half. So she had said that would really help get the hormones in balance, and that is in the last month. It's a month tomorrow that I signed up at the gym, and I've gone every day minus a period of time that I got really sick with a tummy bug for 4 days. So since doing that, oh my god, my energy levels are back, and it's only been a month. She said I should notice about 6 weeks, and the last week I've really noticed a really big difference in my overall, my moods. I feel more balanced out, and my energy levels, it feels so good to have some energy again, and it feels so good to not be feeling just this extreme irritation and irritability, just the irritability and ups and downs, and it's been really difficult. Something else I read about from a spiritual aspect is that at this time of life for a woman, that apparently it can really bring up core issues that haven't been dealt with. And that's when I looked at this, I noticed that when my irritability and my moods have been at their worst is when I'm in situations that normally wouldn't bother me, and it might just be a little thought of just thought, but I'd be happy to let it go. Now, the way I've felt, if I'm in a situation, for example, I was somewhere the other day with my partner, and I just was not in a peoply mood. I just wanted to go, and he was having a great time and having a really good conversation, and so I did what I've clearly always done and just thought, oh, I'll just wait, he's enjoying himself. So I essentially put my needs aside in order for him to stay on and have fun. And made that choice, I just had this rage just start to come up out of nowhere, and I just was so irritable and just wanted to get the out of the place. And the next day when I was calmed down and I thought about the situation, I mean, it sounds minor, and this is the thing, all these things can sound minor, but I guess if you keep doing these little things that aren't really in line with yourself and not working in integrity with yourself, they chip away. And so the next day when I had a chance to look at it from this perspective of my core issue stuff, what's my part in this? Why was I feeling like that? And I realized that whole feeling of that I put my needs aside. And I have had a lot of doing that over the years, and I'm not blaming anybody else. That's been me, and this is a chance to choose differently. So I thought about how I could have gone about the situation differently, and I came up with a couple of things. I could have said to him, look, I'm not feeling very people-y, can we just not hang around for too long? Can we go fairly soon? Or I could have said, I'm going to wait for you in the car for when we go, just something like that. But the fact is, at the time I didn't say anything or speak up for me. And it appears that at this time of life, ignoring those little situations, it creates the moods for me. That is what I'm noticing. And so since really looking at that, and I just feel so empowered with it. I don't feel like a victim to my hormones now. I feel like I have some power over this, and I have some choice over this, and I have a really amazing opportunity to work through issues that I have ignored for many years simply because they're not extreme. And it gives me a chance to work through this baggage and work through this stuff so that I can move into this next time of my life without carrying all that baggage. And I see it as an opportunity to integrate that broken little girl and the woman I am to become. So I have been having a lot of thoughts around what do I feel is a woman, and what sort of woman would I like to be when I grow up. And I was thinking about actresses that I have seen, older actresses that I look up to, that I just think are amazing, strong women. Helen Mirren, Susan Sarandon. There's many, many more. Off the top of my head, I'm not thinking of them, but there are many more. And it's really given me a good opportunity to have a think about what is the woman I want to grow into. What parts of me do I want to move on from and not carry into this next phase of my life? I feel like us as women, and this is generalizing, I know, so anybody out there, I'm generalizing, this is from my experience, this is my life. I'm not an expert on this. This is me sharing my story. I have found that being a mother, partner, different thing, daughter, everything else, I have had a lot of losing and getting lost with who I am in amongst all that, especially I find the most with being a mother. You give a lot of yourself in that time. My eldest is 19 this year and my youngest is 13. And to be quite honest, at this time, because it has been, we've had a lot of stuff happen in that time. And to be quite honest, in a lot of ways, I'm counting down to when it's just my turn. Because I'm tired. I'm tired of looking after other people. And I have, in a lot of ways, lost who I might be in that time, and I am trying to look at who am I without being a mother, who am I without being a partner, who am I as a person, what are my interests, what are my passions, what are my beliefs, what do I stand for. And I feel really excited. I feel really like I'm coming into my own since making this choice of taking control and looking at this whole perimenopausal stuff from a different perspective, and not from the perspective of feeling like a victim to my hormones, because it is fucking extreme when they take over. But taking responsibility for what I can do in this has just been so empowering. And like I said, so the exercise has just been amazing. I'm really taking charge of my diet, so I'm pretty much getting rid of, like, the sugar. Obviously I'm getting rid of the sugar. That's really bad for your hormones, ladies. But also, you know, the packaged goods, the preservatives. Apparently soy is bad. It's high in estrogen. At this time in perimenopause, there's excess estrogen. When we hit menopause, it's not enough estrogen. So at this time it's excess estrogen. So foods that mimic that we don't need, and soy is one of them. So I am really balancing out my diet and looking into things that can help assist in that. So that has been fantastic, and I've noticed a difference. So the diet, the exercise, and my decision to make a mental change in the way I perceive this whole experience, this has all been kicking in, I guess you could say, in the last week or so, and I feel amazing. It is a massive relief. To be quite honest, I feel the best I have in a year and a half, and it feels really good to get myself out of that victim mode. I've had the last year and a half of just feeling like it's all too hard, and why me, poor me, why is life so hard? And, you know, at the same time, it's been part of the journey of me learning better self-care, and to say no, and that no is a complete sentence. I don't need to justify all the time why I say no. And so in reading this stuff about an amazing opportunity to deal with our core issues, it also had mentioned that when women don't, and they continue to repress, and they continue to not look at these core issues, it went on to say that after they hit menopause, not long after, that it can be really common for women to then go on to get breast cancer, which caused me to think of a woman that I know who is a beautiful woman with a lovely heart, but has been not the nicest way to put it, but been a doormat, and allowed that lack of worth to rule, and allowed other people to guilt trip and get her to do whatever. And she went on to get breast cancer this year, and she's in her 60s now. And what I know of this woman, she continued to repress, and it can be really hard sometimes looking at these areas of our life, because sometimes we've backed ourselves into corners with certain friendships, might even be with our marriage. And so I think it's really important to pinpoint and look at how we can be responsible for different choices in our lives. going to leave it there for a bit. And have a think about where from there.